All right, so hopefully you have finished watching part two of this particular problem solving video here. So now it's time to go back in and start to fill in our object lines, hidden lines, and center lines that we might have in these particular problems. So if you recall, in the last video, we talked about the shapes that we should be seeing, and we're looking, of course, at the 3D isometric view here, and we're looking and we've got to see this triangle back here as well as this shape up here and there. So but I'm going to start with one or the other. So let me go into my drawing tools. Now, I know now that I will have a solid line that is my object line going from the bottom here where I've boxed everything in. And that is going to be from here over. Now, oops, just grab that. Sometimes it does that. Just uncheck, hit escape, go back, make sure your line type is selected. Um, this is kind of tricky with this particular Google drawing. We'll get used to it. It gets better. So, all right, so there is my object line. Now remember, I got to set the colors for this object line. So I've got my black color. I've got it. We want to make the object lines for px, and then of course just on our line dash it is a solid line, so we're good there. Now I am also going to be coming up here on the side. Okay, that is this edge. So I've got this is my bottom line, this back edge is right here. I also have this front edge, and notice where it goes up. How do I know how far up to take this? Well, that's where this line here that we projected over, we got this clue from our front view that we projected over, and that intersection point is where that line is going to terminate. So I'm going to come up here from there to there and put that in. Now at this point, hopefully you recognize that the rest of this is just a matter of connecting the dots from this corner or this endpoint up to this endpoint. That is from right here up to right there. And again, notice our shape. I'm going to just kind of do this right now just to bring it in and show you. I don't want you to do this on your drawings. I'm just doing this so that you kind of get it, see it, and know what we're doing. So, all right, so there is that point. Now, notice I also have to then draw, because I'm going to see this line as a solid object line, and I'm also going to see this line as a solid object line. So in that case, to draw that then, this line is just going to go all the way up and then all the way over. There you go. So roughly, this is what this is going to look at like. Now notice, I've kind of, on my drawings, they're not very neat, so I've got some gaps here at this line, and this isn't really all the way up. So I'm going to correct that for a second. So I'm going to go back. Let me escape out of there. I'm going to actually delete this line here. I'm going to grab this line, and I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to stretch this line out, bring that all the way up to there. That way it's one line. And I'm going to grab this line. I'm going to stretch that out, make sure that that touches, just to kind of clean this up and make it a little neater. So there you go. Oh, I think I can get that a little bit better. There we go. And then over here on this line, I'm going to make sure that I kind of grab this and bring that down. So move that over just a little bit too, so that I kind of clean these up, make it look a little bit neater. Of course, if we were actually using drafting software, that software would take care of that for us, and these would be nice, clean, crisp intersection points and lines. So, but that is the way we solve this problem. Now, notice you have to be using your construction lines to project over, because because of the relationship between these views. So you have to make sure that points and lines and edges in one view relate to the points, lines, and edges in another view. If you don't, then things aren't going to work out. And you know, we've talked about boxing in the view. So those outside edges that are generated by the projection lines. Make sure that your outside object lines match up and are going and following all that. So if you come in and are too small, then it's not correct. So for example, I'm going to just real quick, just to show you something that won't be acceptable. So, all right, so you've watched these videos and you know what this should look like. So if you come in here to draw your line and say, well, I don't really need projection lines. I know that this should look something like this. Coming in here like this, and then I got a line that goes up here somewhere like that. There you go. No, and that's what you turn in submit. It's going to get sent back to you because it's not correct, and we got to follow the right drafting protocols and the right drafting procedures. Notice your view almost looks correct, so you kind of have the right line types and lines pretty much in place, other than the fact that this isn't touching here, which would be wrong. So even if you came back and made that touch, so you still have problems with this drawing here. So that problem is this line isn't represented where it's supposed to be up here. This line isn't represented where it's supposed to be, right down here. This line right here. This line goes right there. So, that's the whole reason why we're projecting these construction lines over and blocking all of this in, is because we have to establish and keep that relationship. Remember, up here in the top view, our two dimensions are length and depth. That depth, as we move over, the depth has to match in the side view. Here in the front view, we are representing length and height. So as we move over into the side view, that height has to be the same. So the height of the part, you can't have two different heights. So the height of the part in the side view has to match the height of the part in the front view. And the depth of the part in the top view has to match the depth of the part in the side view. Otherwise, the drawing is not correct. So go ahead, it's your turn to practice. Get this done. Once you've finished number 2, use what you've learned there to go in and complete and fill in number 1. Draw all of your lines here as well. Now notice we're not given the top view here, so that means you're going to need to project up from the front view. You're going to have to come across off of the corner that's right here. So let me just go real quick. So remember, so we're going to project over this way, and then we're going to project up from that corner here. When you do this, this is going to be where you then need to make sure that you do your 45-degree line. Try to get your 45-degree line as close to 45 as possible, because if you aren't on 45 degrees, then your depth, the distance of your depth here in this view will not match the distance of your depth over in this view. So that's the whole reason why we want to make sure that that 45-degree line is as close to 45 degrees as possible. From there, then you can project up and over and get all of the things that you need to solve for this view. So make sure that you're watching all of these videos. If you're not understanding or having some questions, send us an email, put a comment on the Google Class feed there in the stream so that we can answer. We don't know if you're struggling unless you contact us. Don't sit there and struggle. Make sure that you send us an email or so that we know and we can get back with you to help you out.